Musicians often refer to sound in different colors or talk about having round sounds, but if you really think about it, it's quite an abstract concept. Music doesn't have physical form when it's created with our instruments, but we as people relate color to memory, emotions, and so many aspects of our lives that we do visualize music in a lot of different ways. One of the most beautiful parts of the guitar are the different colors you can create, and therefore the different emotions you can bring to your music. For our first demonstration, we will explore tasto to ponticello positions. Notice that each position with the right hand sound will change as you change left hand positions. I'm going to play 3 contrasting positions with the right and left hands to compare them. This is a great exercise for you to test what color palette your guitar has. I'm going to use one of my favorite chords, the major 7th movable chord shape, starting with the 5th string root. So first what we'll do is we will play a C major 7 chord shape, C, E, G, B, and we will be going from tasto to mezzo and ponticello positions to compare the different colors. Notice the different character and quality of sounds as you are changing positions. As you can see, if we get too close to the bridge, the sound could be quite thin, but if you're playing very fast passages or in different positions with tasto, the sound could get muddy or unclear. So let's use that same movable chord shape, and we will hear first position, then 5th, and then 9th position. So we're going to use this first position movable chord, which is B flat major 7, tasto, mezzo, and ponticello. Next we will be doing 5th position, which is a D major 7. And 9th position, which would be the F sharp major 7 chord. The colors become more intense as the string length is shorter. So if you notice, the tasto position was very sweet and mellow when I was in this 9th position chord shape, because that string length is so short compared to down here. So a really great tip that I would like to share is if you are moving up and down the neck, you will want to change your right hand position as you move up, not necessarily equally with the left hand, but if you would like to maintain the same color going up the neck, you will have to make those adjustments. When it comes to painting, this is a representation of how I consider tasto and ponticello positions. To me, tasto is very mellow, it's sweet, it can be romantic, it can be dark, it can be a lot of different emotions that are very deep. So I relate tasto to the deepest colors, blue and purple. The mezzo, or the middle position, right near the rosette, under the sound hole, I consider a neutral position, which in my mind is related to green. Neutral, green means go. So that color can really go either way, closer to red, closer to purple. Lastly, the ponticello position is a very bright, lively, energetic sound, and I relate that to reds and yellows, some with a lot of energy like the sun. So this is one representation that you can think of your different positions through different colors. The more you understand your music, the richer your interpretation will be. In order to start to apply color, we first must look at the foundational elements of the music. Color and tone help communicate and accentuate your ideas, but the player must understand style, structure, line, which is melody and harmony, dynamics, mood, character, the rhythm and meter of the piece. Color choices allow for contrast in your music, and contrast helps to create drama, suspense, intrigue, surprise, and really does give direction to your music. It's really the icing on the cake, but you do need to have a very delicious cake in order to appreciate that icing.
Hola a todos, mi nombre es Andrea González Caballero y voy a hacer un vídeo hablando sobre la historia de la música española. Voy a intentar sacar datos, compositores y fechas importantes a lo largo de los siglos, desde el Renacimiento hasta el siglo XX, y que tengan que ver algo con la guitarra, con su desarrollo o con el repertorio. Empezamos en el Renacimiento, que se puede considerar una época dorada para la música española, porque teníamos a compositores como Luis de Milán, Narváez o Mudarra, que compusieron mucha obra, mucho repertorio para vihuela. Podemos considerar la vihuela instrumento similar a la guitarra, antecesor, y gracias a eso hoy en día podemos también interpretar sus obras fácilmente, ya que solo requiere de el cambiar la afinación de la cuerda de la guitarra a la tercera, de sol a fa sostenido, y con ello ya podríamos interpretar las obras de renacimiento de estos compositores. Podemos escuchar una de las obras de Luis de Milán. Si seguimos en el barroco, se puede considerar una época un poquito más decadente respecto a la creación de música en España, pero teníamos la suerte de tener compositores como Scarlatti o Boccherini, italianos que vinieron a vivir a España, a nuestro país, y que aportaron mucha música y mucha influencia. Otra persona que hay que destacar en esta época, en el barroco tardío, principios del clasicismo, es Antonio Soler, o conocido como Padre Soler, que era clavecinista, musicólogo, compositor, introdujo mucho repertorio, especialmente para teclado, y se considera como uno de los importantes representantes de la escuela de música para teclado del siglo XVIII, quizás también porque continuó lo que Scarlatti había introducido en nuestro país. En el siglo XIX, aunque seguíamos componiendo zarzuelas y estábamos un poquito atrás respecto a la evolución musical de Europa, comenzó la tendencia del nacionalismo español, y eso quiere decir que es una corriente estética que se basa en el estudio y en el emplear recursos y elementos relacionados con el folclore español. Y hay una persona que hay que destacar también en esta historia y se llama Felipe Pedrell, que fue la primera persona que se dedicó a estudiar la música tradicional o folclórica de España. Eso hizo que compositores de la época se vieran arrastrados también a componer en base a ritmos o escalas relacionadas con la tradición folclórica española. Podemos poner nombres como Isaac Albéniz o Enrique Granados. Un poco más tarde del comienzo de la corriente del nacionalismo español, también empieza a incorporarse la vanguardia, el impresionismo, con Manuel de Falla quizás como una de las cabezas más visibles. También estaban los compositores como Bach en aquel entonces. Y de ahí saltamos al siglo XX y hay un acontecimiento que es muy importante y es la Guerra Civil Española, que hace que la dictadura diga que hay que centrarse en lo nacional y dejar atrás la vanguardia de lo que viene del exterior, por lo que también eso influyó en la música española. En este siglo XX seguía como música popular, digamos, la zarzuela y la copla, pero si nos centramos en la guitarra, tenemos que decir que el siglo XX ha sido uno de los siglos más importantes para el desarrollo de la guitarra, de su repertorio y de su proyección, ya que gracias a la figura de Andrés Segovia y de compositores que tuvieron la deferencia de componer para nuestro instrumento, para la guitarra, hizo que se elevase el nivel y la proyección de la guitarra a todo el mundo. Tenemos el ejemplo de compositores como Turina o Falla también, que hicieron aporte a ampliar el repertorio de la música española.
Stare at someone and smile for 20 seconds. "20 seconds seems like an eternity. Everyone feels awkward. People lose attention. Some people even start laughing. People turn their heads because the strangeness of the situation gets too much to bear. Let's face it, there are a lot of guitarists that focus on one thing and one thing only, and that is producing a beautiful melody, regardless of the piece. When in doubt, people automatically gravitate to the simplest of ideas, making something sound clear and pretty. Have you ever been to a concert where music from the Renaissance sounds Spanish? Or the classical period piece sounds Spanish as well? After all, we play the guitar. The guitar is quintessentially Spanish. The guitarist sits on the stage and smiles. As audience members, should we accept an hour-and-a-half recital of someone just presenting a beautiful melody and smiling? Moreover, does it propel the guitar forward as an instrument that triggers an emotional response? A response that makes us human. Watch someone for a minute. Watch how many times their facial expression changes. Watch how many mood swings they have. How quickly their face can change from happiness to concern, from frustration to relief. Music expresses the human condition. Not just the moments where we are happy and smiling, where things are easy and crystal clear, but it also depicts the very worst of human nature and everything in between. It expresses the supernatural and also the painful agony of the heart squeezing until it suffocates. While a nice melody may sound pleasing to an audience, it does not bode well when it comes to creating a particular sound world or a reflection of the world in which a piece of music was originally composed. Having historical knowledge of where the music came from and the music that inspired the piece is vital, and it's up to all of us to do this research to create informed performance. Not just what is meant to sound pleasing to the ordinary ear, but what the composer intended. Even things like the key signature of a piece can affect and shed valuable insights into how we need to perform it. F minor could be deep depression, or E major could represent laughing pleasure. Of course, the history of music is very complex, and it is foolish to even attempt to paint each period or each genre with a single brush of the stroke. Within each period of music exists a kaleidoscope of ideas and subtleties. For instance, what are the characteristics of a specific Bach chorale? Did Bach intend the slower French dance that often used integral, stemming from the early French overture? Or was it meant to be the faster Italian-style currente? We all know that the titles given to these suite movements were often different, so that should mean that we pay homage to the original forms. In these instances, the intent is clear, but sometimes we also need to look beyond a title. Sometimes we need to look at the series of events that led up to the creation of the piece. What inspired the composer at that time? Who commissioned the piece? The answers are out there if we only take the time to look. In this short series of videos, we are going to look at how we can utilize historical performance practice to help guide our own performances and create music that more closely resembles the era in which it was written. For many, it will be a rethinking of how we can manipulate the guitar to illuminate a specific sound world. To do this, in its simplest terms, for each period, the Renaissance, Baroque, Classical, Romantic, and Modern, we are going to look at 1. The purpose of the song. 2. The layering of melody, accompaniment, and inner voices. 3. The use of timbre and tone color to represent characteristics of the genre. 4. The use of dynamics. And finally, 5. Other characteristics of the specific musical style that we are playing. Some of what I am going to say during this series might sound controversial, and some of it you might just flat out disagree with, and that is okay. We all interpret things differently. But the real question is, can you back up your interpretation with evidence? Can you point me to what you are basing your interpretation on? Far too long have guitarists just based performance on gut feeling, or gone back and listened to recordings of guitar greats. Sure, these performances are awe-inspiring and give us wonderful insights into the music. But think of it as the broken telephone game. As you continue to whisper into the person's ear next to you, the more the original message can come distorted. What we think sounds correct today was very different to how people thought it sounded correct 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 50 years ago, let alone 400 years ago. The important thing is that we go back to the original source. You might find that the original source may not be too different than our own experience. We are all, after all, human with shared experiences. But there will be these little quirks, little stylistic differences that distinguish one style of music from another. Music is not always beige. It is vivid and brilliant. And it is up to the performers to create it and the audience members to demand it. A former teacher of mine once said, each time you get up on the stage, you have to convince the audience that that is exactly how it is meant to sound. But it will always be a much easier task if we know what we need to do with the music from the very beginning.
The technique we're going to tackle today is called the Rasgueado, and this is perhaps the most recognizable technique of flamenco guitar, and very substantial, very important. Controls rhythm, controls pulse, it controls melodies, harmonies, anything you can think of, there's room for the Rasgueado. And this is a technique that's sometimes misunderstood, but being that I learned this technique the right way in Spain, hopefully I can pass it on to you. And then, yeah, let's get to it. This is the first thing we're going to do. We're going to take this form with our hands. You can see my fingers are all bundled up inside my thumb as if they were on a launch pad. And now, flick. Finger by finger, one by one, just flick out. Just get used to this motion. It's kind of a weird thing, but trust me on this one. Now, do it a little quicker. Bring your fingers back right into place. Do that many times. Now, here's a little thing. You can do this on your leg when you're in the car, in class. Whenever you're bored, just do this. It will really help. Do it on your guitar. And now, bring the same positioning, your pointed thumb to the lowest string. Now you have all your fingers ready. And you're gonna try flicking with your pinky first. And it's gonna be really hard at first, trust me. You're not gonna have that much strength. And I know this because I don't even have that much strength in my pinky. But you're going to try your best, launch it. You can play around with how quick, how hard you do it. Just kind of get used to it. Just try it. It's going to be hard, but try it finger by finger, as direct as you can. As you can see, it goes fast. And so once you release all, then keep doing this a couple times. And so for this Rasgueado, there's actually 5 strokes. Down with the 4 and back up with the index. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now we're going to try this with metronome at 60 BPM. 1 by 1. And don't be too concerned with rhythm yet. Just match it as close as you can with the metronome. With strong flicks. All right, so up until this point, we've pretty much only been kind of testing our fingers, what they can do. Feeling the sensation of this flick across the strings that is really direct and continuous. And so now we're going to add this chord. It's a fully diminished chord, all the way with your pinky and ring finger on the 12th fret. And your index finger is wedged on that G string. But the main thing is, once you grab this chord, just see what it feels like, see what it sounds like to pluck, or to strum rather, with all your fingers, as direct as you can. And I can't emphasize enough just that you don't try to go so fast at first. I'm going fast because it's comfortable, but get the sensation of releasing, and once you release your finger, that's it. Just relax it after that and let your other fingers go for the ride. So now, as you can see, I'm going through the pattern twice and then moving my chord shape down 1 fret each time. And you can see that I do the pattern and then leave space. Cycles through it, then the pause. 1 fret at a time, all the way down till you hit the E minor chord. And remember, it's just all about that circular sound, the turning wheel, continuous. But remember the basic flick, and eventually you'll be able to flick without launching it from your thumb, like this. And this has a very different sound, as you can tell. It's not as direct. It's a little bit more delicate, a little more flowy. And this one is just straight 16th notes. And so there you go. You got a couple of ways, the 5 and the 4. Launching from the thumb and also not launching. Okay, so now that you've tried flicking your fingers from your thumb, you're probably tired, so let's give your hands a rest. And I really recommend practicing this on your leg, on the table, in class when you're not paying attention and you want to think about guitar. I really encourage practicing this without the guitar, because it's really movements that are so weird that you just need extra time. And sometimes when you practice with guitar, it's just too taxing when you don't have enough strength. So I definitely encourage you to do this without any resistance of the string, and then add the guitar later on, and it will be much easier. Keep going. Good luck.